Hi guys, hope everyone's well and welcome back to the education section, and in this video I'm going to touch on how we can cultivate an environment for easy adherence. And the rationale behind this episode is a big part of staying consistent is adherence, of course, and what comes down to having effective adherence is making your environment conducive towards doing so. So motivation, willpower is only an infinite resource. It's not something that we have endless amounts of. So if we are constantly set up to fail by our surroundings, by the people around us, by not being organised with our nutrition and other areas, then we're not gonna we're not gonna be able to stick to things long term. So instead, the aim is to create an environment easy to adhere. And one of the best examples is like the Vietnam War study. So there was a study where veterans from the US came back from Vietnam. Around 20% of them addicted to substances like heroin, I believe it was. And I can't recall, like, I don't know the figures off the top of my head, but a lot of them just went cold turkey and just stopped completely, just stopped immediately, which is a substance that's extremely addicting. So, what made those individuals quit or stop, right? Was it the fact that they were really disciplined? No. Was it the fact that they, let's say, couldn't get a hold of it? Potentially, because they were in a different country at the time, but it was due to the fact that their environment changed. They're not surrounded by it, they've not got access to it, they're not surrounded by other individuals who are participating in it, and they moved to a completely different environment where it is frowned upon, not accessible, not legal, so their ability to quit that habit, which was drugs in this sense, was very high, and they managed to do so. Why? Because their environment changed. And when it comes to nutrition, something to try and ensure is if we are maybe opting for foods that aren't conducive towards our goals or overeating on foods that aren't maybe appropriate for whatever phase we're at, is make those foods harder to access. So generally the foods that aren't going to be conducive towards our goals are going to be ones that are low in protein, low in fibre, because that will contribute towards satiety. Foods that are highly palatable, foods that are not really filling at all, most of, or sometimes ultra processed, leading to not getting much feelings of satiety, causing us to then overeat and then struggle to adhere to our goals through whatever phase we're in. And even if you aren't dieting or trying to lose weight, generally we want to have foods that support good digestion and have good overall quality for our health. So this can still apply. So a few things we can consider is avoiding like having large quantity of the foods you don't want to eat in your home. For example, if it's a Saturday night, you want to have something that's a bit more relaxed. Instead of buying like 10 like a 10 pack of cookies, buy a cookie. And even if that means spending a bit more money, even if it means per cookie you're spending more, it's going to be worth it if it means having better adherence to your diet and reaching your goals. So buying things in smaller quantities can be a good trick. Also, storing treats out of sight, out of mind. So instead of leaving something easily to access, you want to put something that's quite hard to access. For example, if let's say every time you wanted a cookie, we'll stick to the theme of cookies, you needed to go up your attic. What's the likelihood of you eating a lot of cookies on a daily basis? Probably not a lot because nobody wants to trek up to their attic all the time unless it's easy to access. But for me, it's not. So store treats out of sight, out of mind, and do the opposite with foods you want to eat in your diet. Foods you want to eat and you want to have on a regular basis, make it easy to access. Let's say putting fruit on the kitchen table, for example, make it convenient to prep, and that could be by buying it ahead of schedule, buying chopped chicken instead of just chicken breasts, if that's a bit more easy for you and if that allows you to have better adherence. Buying individual portions, like we touched on in multi packs, and also foods that maybe you want to have and maybe quote unquote treats and foods that are a bit more calorie dense, not conducive towards your goals, have them in appropriate quantities. For example, you can put things like dark chocolate in your oats, same with almond butter, or just standard chocolate in your oats. So we things like that in small quantities, or through like Greek yogurt, for example. So you're still getting that like sweet food, but in appropriate dosage. So we're not having speaking out like about chocolate like it's a drug. So yeah, so we're having an appropriate amount that's not going to drive us over calorie goals or make us overeat. And what we want to do is create resistance between us and the habit that we're trying to avoid. So the more time we can give us between carrying out the habit and where you currently are, the more time you have to contemplate and reconsider eating it and think, right, is that a good idea? What we can also do is we can remove digital triggers when it comes to your nutrition. And what that can entail is deleting food delivery apps and logging out of them after use. It can mean not having your saved card details on delivery apps as well. And same with your email list. So unsubscribing from restaurant, takeaway emails, turn off the notifications on food apps like Just Eat, etc. Don't even have them downloaded. Just download them when you want to order something. Unfollow accounts that will give you regular cravings and tempt you to want to eat foods you don't really want to eat in your plan at the end of the day. And also, as well as unfollowing accounts, be mindful of what you're watching. So we've all been there where you watch something on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever platform, and all you see is things related to it. For example, if you are looking at how to make some sort of recipe, all that's going to then pop up is more of those videos, right? So just be mindful of what you watch because then it's just going to feed you more of that information, which might make you crave food and then want to maybe overeat on your diet. And so basically what we want to do is remove the cues that is making us crave the food. And also have a meal prep system that's quick and easy and efficient for you to complete. So this can look different for every individual. It doesn't matter what system you have. What matters is that we've got a system. We've got some sort of structure and plan in place. So it doesn't mean we need to spend an entire day cooking, but we need some sort of plan in place. So what I recommend is have a consistent day and time you prepare food. Batch cook foods is generally a good idea to save time, lead to more efficiency, and you can do so through like bulk cooking all your meals or just think like your protein sources. I think that's a great place to start. If you're not used to bulk cooking, start with like your meats. Bulk cook them, divide them up evenly, freeze what's not going to last in the fridge, put the others in the fridge, and then you're organized for the whole week. And we can use like quick carbohydrates, like things like microwave rice, wraps, potatoes or bagels, investing in things like an air fryer and rice cooker, which I'll get to later on. And then we can have like frozen or pre-chopped fruits and vegetables for time efficiency. And also we can think about having quick and easy meals when we're in a rush. For example, Greek yogurt is one of them. Oats and whey protein, very quick. Whey protein and fruit. So they don't need to take ages to prepare, but have some sort of system. Know when you'll plan your food. Like we should know when we're prepping for the week or for each day. We shouldn't leave it to chance because we're then winging it essentially. So having some sort of system's key. I used to prep all my food first thing in the morning. I have moved to doing it more so at the weekend, just prepping all my meals for the week, just because I want to make things as efficient as I possibly can, so I can have more time to serve you guys, my clients, make more resources like this, give myself less stress, and have more free time to spend time doing things that I'd rather be doing. So have some form of system, and generally if you can do something in larger quantities, it's going to be more efficient. And also make sure your meals manage your hunger. So if you're constantly hungry, your ability to adhere is going to be poor. So make sure each meal you comprise it of appropriate amount of protein for your goals, fruits and veggies, carb source that will drive satiety, like potato for example. Have appropriate amounts of also fluid in your diet, and make it enjoyable but also satiating. Doesn't need to be one or the other. It doesn't need to be super calorie dense, high processed foods that aren't conducive towards our goals or not enjoyable. We can have both. And also, what you can do to manage your hunger is like save your calories for when you're generally more hungry. If you always sit down on the couch, overeat in the evening, watching TV, maybe save a meal for when you're watching TV in the evening. Maybe time your dinner a bit later on. Maybe give yourself something to snack on that's factored into your plan, like rice cakes, for example. Have a consistent weekly shop time. Have a regular day and time you go to the shop, and your adherence starts and your food environment starts with what enters your trolley at the end of the day. So what you can do is create like a reasonable shopping list that's based on your meals. Write down if you have chicken, if you have 150 grams a day, write down how much that will be for the week. Know how much you'll need to buy to last you a week. Buy that in the shops, prep that, and you know you're organised for the week, and you're not gonna have a poorer food because you've not got something available. So that's sometimes when people can have inappropriate food choices because they've not got something appropriate available. And then they opt for something maybe quite calorie dense, sensible over their goals. And also, what we can think about is shopping right after eating rather than when we're hungry. You're probably going to buy less rubbish, buy less junk food. Also, what you can also consider is use online shopping or click and collect as it reduces impulse buying. Same with having a shopping list. It gives you more awareness of why you're going in the shop, what you're going to buy. It gives you a plan, and it means you're not wandering about the middle aisle of Aldi and Lidl for ages. And we can also think about using things like subscribe and save on Amazon just to make things more efficient. Like you can do that with things like having big 10 kilo bags of rice, any other foods you use that you can't maybe get in the shops or it's just more convenient to use. So that's something you can consider just to streamline the process. Think about right, all your goals and things and boxes you need to tick off. How can we make it as easy as possible for you to do so? So that on the days you've got no motivation, no energy, you're still going to do so. And also be prepared and organised for busy and unpredictable days. What that could mean is have some meals in the freezer, maybe microwavable meals that you can buy, like ready-made meals, yes, that you can buy that you can freeze just so you've got something there. Microwave rice, ready cooked protein, things like cans of tuna, rice you can have. If you're really busy, that's something you can make in minutes. Like, I mean, microwave rice and tuna. And things like, again, whey protein, fruit, or wraps. Have a tuna wrap, fire some lettuce in. Another meal that could genuinely take 2 minutes to make. And we can also consider having like a having like an idea of what foods we can maybe get from shops that's going to be good for our diet. For example, Greek yogurt we can buy on the go, wraps, pre-cooked chicken we can buy on the go, McDonald's we can buy grilled chicken wraps. So when we are busy, when we're out on the go, we can still be adaptable. We don't want to rely on being in a perfect routine for us to move forwards because life's not going to be perfect. We've always got interruptions. And as for the training, making it fit your schedules, of course, going to be very valuable and key in terms of your adherence. So, what I recommend is schedule your training in like you would your work. You know what I mean? You wouldn't not go to your work. You wouldn't not know when you're going to start. You'd know when you're going to start. You know where you're going to leave from work. You'd have a plan. So treat your training and put it in your calendar like an appointment, and then know exactly what time and days you'll train. Choose training days and times that are realistic. Choose times where you're going to have the most energy and the least interruptions, and you're going to be the most likely to adhere. And also train at a gym that's convenient to reach. So I'd rather a client train at a gym that's maybe not quite as well equipped, but they'll stick to it consistently, than a client train at the perfect gym, sorry, but have poor adherence. We can think about packing our bag the night before. So you packing your bag the night before, you told yourself you've made that commitment already that you're going to the gym in the morning, which can help your adherence. Have a spare set of clothes at work or in the car so that you know you're not going to be caught off-handed, or you can go straight after work. And you can also think about when the gym is busy, like be adaptable. Know what exercises you can swap in and out if something's in use so you can be efficient with your time. And you can also like move through your session at a faster pace when you're busy. Superset exercises, so do one exercise straight into the other, or do rest pause style sets, which can be a good way to save time, which is when you kind of do like 3 sets with short rest periods between each. And when you are busy and when you can't do your full workout, be adaptable. A lot of people think, oh, they usually train for an hour, they've only got 45 minutes, they'll just leave the gym. Whereas if they actually go in and they hammer it and get as much as they can in that shorter period of time, that's going to be more productive. We can also think about reducing decision fatigue. So if you're repeatedly deciding what to eat, when to train, what workout you're completing, it just creates more friction. It takes longer to complete tasks and creates a lack of sustainability. Like for myself, for example, I know the times when I sit down to work and I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing, I'll be like, oh, I should do this, should I do that, should I do this? And I've wasted 10 minutes, you know what I mean? That's 10 minutes where I could have got one of the tasks done. And what you can do is automate things like your breakfasts and lunches, make them routined, and then that means you're not logging them at all in MyFitnessPal. You don't need to worry about that. You just need to track things like your dinner. Know when you'll prepare meals. Know when you'll go to the shops. Know what days you'll train. Know what time you'll go to bed and get up. Know rough plan of how you'll handle meals out or off-plan meals or busy days. For example, I know at the weekend when I have a meal with my partner, what my diet typically looks like the rest of the day. I have a routine for the days that are different on the weekend, for example. And structure doesn't give you a lack of flexibility, it creates flexibility due to freeing up more actual time because you're more efficient with the time you do have. If you can automate all these things I spoke about, they're things you're not having to plan in, which means you'll probably get them done at a faster pace. You'll save time in your days from not needing to plan things in, and you can have them set at a time where you know will be most efficient and practical for your routine. What we can also do to cultivate an appropriate environment is think about our social network, our social circle. So think about explaining your goals to the people you live with or your close family, friends, asking for what support they could help you with. You don't need to tell them to follow your diet. They don't need to follow your diet, but they can support it. They can ask you, or they can pass on asking you if you want a domino sort of thing. They can not encourage you to have those maybe inappropriate food choices. You can ask them not to leave trigger foods available. Agree on meals that work for everyone and maybe help support you with what you're having for dinner sort of thing, or not tempt you with certain foods like I touched on. You can also plan like plan meals out rather than avoiding them. So just go somewhere that's going to be more appropriate towards your goals. Plan to get something on the menu that is going to be more appropriate because a lot of people they'll start diet and they'll be like no biscuits, no chocolates, no meals out, and that's just not sustainable. And the clients that I see do that, they sign up, they tell me they're cutting out everything. They're the ones that fall off within a few weeks. So we want some aspect of sustainability and a bit of balance there. And also spend more time with people who respect your goals. So if especially younger individuals, if you've got some friends in there taking the mick at you, putting you down for having these goals and trying to improve yourself, question are they people you want to spend your time with? And also, you can let me know about your upcoming obstacles and struggles that you have and things that you're going to navigate in terms of meals out, nights out, holidays, and I can help you and support you with handling them and give you some accountability with it. And also review where your adherence usually breaks down. So don't tell yourself try harder, don't tell yourself work harder. Think what is the problem. For example, if you usually go off plan at a certain time, at a certain day, what's happening at that day and time that's causing it to happen. So it's usually a sign your routine or your system's broken, not that you need more motivation if you keep failing at a certain time. If you usually go off plan at the end of the day and for breakfast you have a ton of cereal and a calorie dense lunch that doesn't fill you up and you've got no calories for the evening, your problem's not lack of discipline in the evening. Partly that could contribute to it, but your problem's a lack of planning and a lack of structure the rest of the day that leads you to overeat. Again, going back to routine, it stops this happening. So think what food, situation, or emotional triggers cause it, and how can we mitigate them? What was missing from your environment, or what was in your environment that caused you to have poor adherence? What could you prepare or change beforehand in hindsight to kind of stop that? Like I said, be more prepared with your nutrition, having a better option for breakfast or pushing your breakfast a bit later so you're not eating as early. And how can you make the desired action easier next time? For example, if you opted for maybe a takeaway for your dinner instead of having something to eat that you know is going to be conducive towards your goals because you didn't have it in the house, then it's a problem which went down to your weekly shop, not buying the foods to have them available. And it also was a problem with having that app downloaded, being logged into it, getting that email notification through that they've got a discount on that caused you to then have that trigger. So it's like a cascade of effects that we want to try and troubleshoot and navigate. And we can also consider things like investments to improve our adherence. So things like a rice cooker makes life much easier if you're cooking a good bit of rice. Cooks it automatically, turns it on warm mode. Things like an air fryer can make the enjoyment of your food a lot higher. Things like a Ninja Creamy I recently got, it's been brilliant because it's mean I've been able to have ice cream every day while still fitting it into my plan, which has been brilliant. Things like Tupperware, collapsible Tupperware can be great as well for storage efficiency. We can think about using a pillbox to continue to take our supplements on a regular basis. Having a chest freezer so you can be more organised with your meal prep and your shopping. Things like headphones for the gym to create a bit more enjoyment for training. Things like a walking pad so we can get steps in when the weather's not great, when we're at home, when we lack motivation and we can't be bothered going outside. So we can think about what investments we can make to improve our adherence. Same with like sleep. Anything we can do to improve our sleep quality, we know that's going to have a positive effect on our ability to manage our appetite, manage our motivation and our energy throughout the day. So tons of things we can do. So yeah, in terms of adherence, make it the path of least resistance. Make it as easy as possible for yourself to carry out that action you want to carry out. So review your environment, review what's causing you to have poor adherence or causing friction between you and carrying out whatever habit you want to perform, and make it harder for you to perform what habits you don't want to carry out, like we spoke about. So, hope the video helped. Any questions, let me know. Any episodes you'd like to see covered, please also let me know, and have a great rest of your day.